Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and it's that time of the year. The holiday season is fast approaching, and I'm going to be looking back at some of the best LEGO items that came out this year in 2024. We're talking minifigures from licensed to non-licensed, and sets of all price ranges and categories. We'll be taking a look at the LEGO Awards of this year. Of course, we have to start off with one of my personal favorite categories, and that is non-licensed minifigures. So join me for a countdown of the top 10 best non-licensed minifigures that we got this year. Of course, non-licensed is referring to original LEGO themes like Ninjago, Monkey Kid, City, you name it, and let's jump into number 10. Kicking things off at number 10, we have LordRZ in his dark purple Shadow Dojo armor from the first half of this year. The main villain of this current iteration of Ninjago, LordRZ hails from the Wildness, the same realm where the Legends of Chima theme took place. After his introduction last year as a member of the realm of Imperium, where he had arm printing and golden armor, he received a brand new look as he led his own wolf mask Shadow Dojo cult at the beginning of the year. While this figure doesn't have the arm printing that the first and third iterations have, I feel like this is one of the most striking looks for me because he has everything that you would want for a main Ninjago villain. A really cool weapon accessory, purple armor, as well as a custom molded head, as well as a fantastic color scheme with the metallic blue, lighter blue, as well as the blacks and purples. I just feel like the color scheme is incredibly clean and just makes him really stand out compared to some other Ninjago villains. While he's not necessarily the most detailed minifigure, hence why he's only number 10 on the list, I did still want to include him because there's some incredible design work going on here for Ninjago's main villain. You can get LordRZ in a number of different sets: 71809 Egalt the Master Dragon, 71813 Wolf Mask Shadow Dojo, and 71819 Dragonstone Shrine, as well as a European exclusive magazine polybag, making him one of the easiest Ninjago villains to acquire, which I also really appreciate how he's available in much cheaper items. Moving on to number 9, we have a character from LEGO Monkey Kid, and that is Jing. Jing only came in 80058, the Celestial Pagoda, and in the show he's the father of Neza, serving as one of the primary antagonists of the first half of the year. Whereas he was mostly misguided, kind of tricked by the real main villain, he was still a very formidable force against the heroes, and the minifigure is phenomenally detailed. I just love the metallic gold legs and arms, and the printing of the armor just feels very regal, but also feels very celestial. There are cloud-like details molded into the armor where you can see there's cloud effects going on around the actual torso armor itself. There's fantastic teal and gold printing, which looks really good on this minifigure, and really the only thing is that I feel like this minifigure was maybe designed to potentially have dual molded legs. The first half of the legs is white and the second half is gold, but maybe due to budgetary issues they decided not to make it dual molded, which unfortunately does make the rest of the figure suffer as a result. If it had that, it would be a lot higher on the list, but even without dual molded legs, I really love the brand new armor piece they introduced this year for Monkey Kid. It's kind of a Chinese lion inspired design on both ends, which just looks super cool, and he's reusing a hairpiece that we first saw a couple of years back with a nice golden metallic crown on the top, which just looks super good. All in all, this is one of the most phenomenally detailed minifigures, showing that Monkey Kid is keeping up the quality of some great minifigs. Moving on to number 8, we have the Never Witch from LEGO Dreams. The Never Witch appeared across 4 different sets: 71477 The Sandman's Tower, 71478 The Never Witch's Midnight Raven, 71483 The Never Witch's Nightmare Creatures, and 71486 Castle Nocturnia. As the main villain of this year of LEGO Dreams, the Never Witch is fully decked out, with a dual molded coral and black crown, as well as a fantastic transparent pink and black smoke trail underneath the legs. I love the way the staff is done as well, featuring a printed element showcasing her trapping one of the realms in a bottle, and she even has an accessory of a black and trans pink dual molded new raven element, which accompanies her in pretty much every single set she's in, and even appears across almost every single one of the other Dream sets. The minifigure itself is honestly not even that crazily exciting. I think it is fairly nicely designed. I do love the dual molded components, and it is really cool to get a really nice looking design for the way that the actual torso printing is done with a mix of colors, but what really stands out to me is the presentation presentation of this minifigure. Recoloring the smoke trail looks super good, and I also love how you have this gigantic supersized staff, which really only works when she's floating above the ground. All in all, this minifigure could have been higher on the list if the minifigure itself was more detailed, but I think it definitely is elevated by the fact that the accessories are just that good. And moving on, we can take a look at number 7. And at number 7, we actually have a LEGO City minifigure. Space was a major focus for LEGO City this year, and because of that, we got a whole new faction that kind of fits within a reimagining of the classic space minifigures. For my personal favorite pick, I chose the Astronaut with the dark orange helmet and yellow armor. This is featuring 2 brand new components created for this wave of LEGO City, and is showcasing a more heavy-duty mining faction. In fact, this is the leader of that mining faction, and it's delineated by that because he has a gunmetal gray arm showcasing a robotic drill on one of his hands, as well as a dark orange arm, which is a really cool asymmetrical design to really make him stand out compared to some of the other figures. I just love the brand new helmet mold introduced for this series. I hope that we see it across multiple other minifigures, and I think it's super cool how they actually have you mount the visor upside down, which is something pretty rare to see. You don't really see that often outside of maybe a couple collectible minifigures here and there. The new armor piece is also very versatile. I can totally see this appearing across a ton of other themes. I could even seeing it being printed for licensed themes with stuff like Iron Man. It's just a really nicely molded element that also has a lot of stud connections on the back. Here you just have an ingot on the back, but a lot of the other minifigures used other things on the back of this armor piece, which I really appreciate. The print of the torso and the legs is identical to the other minifigures, but I really did want to call out that I just love the design work being done here. The sand blue, dark blue, gold, and the bright orange color just looks really cool as a highlight on the actual minifigure design, and I love how this figure even got an exclusive printed headpiece with a lightning bolt shaped scar on the side of his face, or maybe that's a tattoo. It's really up for you to decide. This minifigure only comes in one set, 60434 Space Base and Rocket Launchpad, although you can get a very similar figure in one of the cheapest sets of the wave in the Space Mining Mech. He just has a different color of helmet. With that, let's move on to number 6, and we return to LEGO Dreams, where we have the protagonist of the theme, Matteo, with a blue puffer vest and his Z-Blob shirt. This is a really decked out version of Matteo, and I just love how the design team really spared no expense when crafting this minifigure and bringing him to life. Not only does he have dual molded legs with a really nice sneaker print, but he has printing on the side of the legs as well as a brand new mold representing a puffer vest, something that we saw across some of the other Dreams characters like Cooper as well. For the accessory, he has a gigantic slime vat on his back with a brand new dual molded component of gold and transparent opalescent satin green, where you can see it actually integrates his hourglass into some sort of a blasting weapon, which we did see a couple of times in the show. I really love it when LEGO goes all out when crafting the main characters of their LEGO themes. We don't really see this too often in stuff like LEGO Ninjago, where you kind of have the budget split across 6 or 8 ninja, but for a main character with a single protagonist for one theme, they can really go all out. We saw this level of detail for LEGO Monkey Kid back in the day, and it's really cool seeing them do this continuously for their own original IPs. I also love that the hairpiece is even updated. He has a new color stripe in his hair, and I have to wonder that for year 3, will he gain yet another color stripe in that hairpiece, and I'm really curious just how many different colors they can do. The headpiece is pretty unchanged from other appearances of Matteo, but the minifigure is incredibly well done, and I'm sure that puffer jacket element is going to become very, very useful going forwards into the future. Matteo appears in a number of sets, the Never Witches, Midnight Raven, and Nightmare Creatures, which we mentioned previously, as well as 71485 Matteo and Z-Blob the Knight Battle Mech. Moving on to number 5, we come to our first collectible minifigure, but definitely not the last entry on this list, and that is a minifigure from 71045 LEGO Minifigures Series 25. Of course, that is the Vampire Knight. I really struggled with where to put this one on the list, and honestly, I still think maybe I could have put it a little bit higher. There's just absolutely amazing minifigures coming our way very soon, but the Vampire Knight is super special to me because it's a clear reimagination of the classic Fright Knight, Basil the Batlord from the original original Fright Night series in 1997 to 1999. This is a phenomenally detailed figure. You have dual molded legs and printing on the arms, and it really to me is the perfect upgrade of a classic figure. The bat-shaped helmet is a lot more menacing, the wings arc out with a much larger degree, and you even have it arcing at an angle, which is something the original mold did not have, and I just love the facial expression as well. It's appropriately goofy, but also sinister, and it could totally work for a number of different applications. And I just love how you have a version of the head with a sinister red glow around the eyes. The accessory of a battle axe in transparent red is also perfect, and that cape is absolutely gorgeous. The printing on the cape is phenomenal. You can see the actual Batlord symbol on the back of it, as well as a brand new print for the shield. This really upped LEGO's game when it came to recreating fantasy minifigures, and so much more greatness is to come. Moving on to number 4, we have another collectible minifigure, this one from 71046, Series 26, the Space Series, and that is the Ice Planet Explorer. This is a really well done reimagination of the original Ice Planet Babe from the Ice Planet series back for Classic Space, and while unfortunately the big thing holding this figure back is that LEGO has discontinued the transparent neon orange color. They have changed the type of plastic they use for transparent pieces so they can no longer produce it, which means that this saw is just trans orange and there aren't really any other transparent neon orange aspects. I personally would have really loved it if they did some sort of a dual molded helmet with a transparent orange visor and helmet, but honestly, if they can't make it trans neon orange, what even really is the point? Still, it is a greatly detailed minifigure, and I just love the accessory as well, being a penguin with the Ice Planet visor. The helmet mold on this figure is really well done. Despite the fact that it is just a single printed element, I feel like it is a really cool way that actually makes it look like a deep space marine or something like those sci-fi types of details, and I would love to see that helmet be used outside of this minifigure. Like, mold that in gunmetal gray and give it a red visor, and that would go totally hard. Even like a black and yellow version for Blacktron, I could totally see them doing a ton of stuff with that piece, and I certainly hope it doesn't remain exclusive to this one minifigure. The reuse of this particular armor piece that they used for stuff like LEGO Star Wars is a really good one as well, and I love that you can see the Ice Planet logo on the side printed, which is just a really nice touch. Even with all the accessories removed, the torso is a great revamp of the original Ice Planet torso, and altogether, this is a really cool minifigure that feels like it could totally fit in with those classic figures. I just wish that they had done this before LEGO discontinued trans neon orange. And with that, we can move on to the top 3 best minifigures, in my opinion, of 2024 that were non-licensed. And at number 3, we have a pretty controversial pick, and that is Climber Kai from Ninjago. Now, I chose Climber Kai somewhat arbitrarily, but really this is meant to apply to all 6 of the Climber Ninja that we did receive, and all of that is going to this absolutely incredible dual molded armor piece. You have gold mixed in with dark red, or light gray, or dark green, or dark blue, depending on the ninja that's using it, and I just love how this evokes a samurai-esque feel while still feeling like it fits really well in Ninjago. My only big gripe about the figure? Well, it's the same issue I've had with almost all of the Ninjago Dragons Rising figures to date, and yeah, that's the fact that you can't turn the heads. The mask part of it is molded into the armor, which is incredibly frustrating, which I understand is easier for kids to use and play with, but because of that, you can't actually turn the heads if you want to have the figures displayed with their hair and the mask down. You literally cannot do that. You have to have them keeping on looking straight forwards with just the hair, or the top part of the mask and the front part of the mask being fully fixed. It is very frustrating. I wish you could actually turn the head because it would really allow you to pose the figures even better, but aside from that, this figure is near perfect. I love the dual molding. There's very, very intricate detail where you could see just little bits and pieces of gold peeking through the armor. It's just a really well done piece. It's very nicely produced, and I'm very, very pleased with how they were able to pull this off. The torso and detailing itself for the Climber Ninja is also really cool. Sure, the climbing gear might not make that much sense for actual climbers, but you know, this is Ninjago we're talking about. If it looks cool, I say just go with it. Climber Kai is the most common climber ninja, appearing in 4 different sets: 71812 Kai's Ninja Climber Mech, 71813 Wolf Mask Shadow Dojo, 71815 Kai's Source Dragon Battle, a 4+ set, and even an 892405 Climber Kai, which was a European exclusive magazine polybag, which is super cool. They include him again in a very cheap polybag set. But with that, we can move on to an absolutely stunning minifigure. And that is our number 2 pick from LEGO Monkey Kid. This is Nuwa, the goddess. Nuwa is one of the most interesting characters in Monkey Kid, and I'm not going to spoil the TV show on a video talking about the figures, but she contributed to one of the most incredible and meaningful plot lines in the entire show, a very emotional plot line, and the minifigure is really well done. She's utilizing the original snake tailpiece that debuted in Ninjago 2012, but this time utilizing very strikingly different colors, showcasing the versatility of this piece for one of the first times, with a spring green color for the front and then a teal color in the back. You also have a reuse of the Ninjago dragon form armor, but this time she actually has a really intricately built up mount for the 5 individual color stones, which look absolutely phenomenal for this figure, dual molded in all sorts of different colors. They of course were the main collectibles of the wave. She even has a brand new hairpiece as well that is intricately printed, and the accessory is pretty perfect, holding a small golden statue that might just be the clay version of Monkey Kid before he was born. This is a stunning minifigure, and it was really tough deciding between this and my number 1 pick. But of course, I did have to give the number 1 pick to one other figure. But outside the collectible minifigure series, this is easily the best minifigure of the year in my opinion. But moving on to number 1, we can take a look at a set from 71046 Series 26, and that is of course the Mtron Powerlifter. I just love this minifigure, and for me, yeah, nostalgia definitely won out when choosing to put this figure on the list, but what was super cool about this is that you have a really nice reimagination of the classic Mtron figure that has just the right amount of new detail. Dual molded legs with printing on the side of the legs, but keeping the torso relatively simple, with a gigantic logo still occupying most of the torso. But my favorite thing about this figure is the accessory. You have a brand new dual molded rubberized claw element, which you can use to pose in all sorts of different positions, angling it upwards and downwards, and even clamping a 1x2 tile, which is mimicking the original print from some of the actual cargo elements the Mtron minifigures were moving around back in those original Classic Space sets. This is just so cool. The only downside? Well, again, trans neon green no longer exists, so instead they decided to print the visor on the head. I think it actually works for this figure, and it really does give it a unique look, but again, it is showing LEGO trying to have to innovate to get around the fact that they can no longer introduce trans neon green components, which is very sad. Otherwise, this minifigure is almost perfect to me. I love the accessory, I love the new molds it introduces, I love the dual molding, the robotic, almost exoskeleton-like armor on the legs. The dual molding and printing is just perfect, and this to me is easily one of the best collectible minifigures of the year. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my top 10 favorite non-licensed minifigures of the year, and tune in next week to find out what are my top 10 favorite licensed minifigures of the year, because that is a completely different ballgame. That's all for now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.